The door slammed as she ran into the rain, shoes slipping, breath sharp, eyes burning. Someone shouted her name behind her, but she didn't stop. She pushed through the gate, her phone buzzing wildly in her hand. Messages, dozens of them. She didn't need to open them to know what they said. Did you see what she did? I always knew she was like that. Pretty girls are dangerous. She stopped under a streetlight, rain soaking her hair, chest heaving. I didn't do anything, she whispered, as if the night could hear her. I didn't. Earlier that morning, she had laughed. She had walked into the building smiling, greeting people the way she always did. Good morning,
Why is she
had
always
said.
so cheerful?
Some smiled back, some didn't. Why is she always so cheerful? One woman muttered. Another replied, when you look like that, life is easy. She pretended not to hear. She always did. At her desk, she had barely sat down when Ada leaned over. You're early. She nodded. I like to be. Ada studied her face for a moment, then said, you know people stare because you let them. She smiled politely. I don't let anyone do anything. Ada laughed, but it wasn't warm. Must be nice. By midday, the whispers started. Phones tilted. Conversations stopped when she entered a room. She asked quietly, is something wrong? No. Someone answered too quickly. During lunch, she sat alone. A man from accounting walked by, paused, then shook his head. I warned him about you, he said under his breath. She looked up. Warned who? He scoffed and walked away. Her phone buzzed. A message from her supervisor. Come to my office. Now. She knocked. Sit, he said without looking at her. She's Saturday, sir. Is there a problem? He finally looked up, eyes cold. Did you think this wouldn't come out? Think what wouldn't come out? Her voice trembled despite her effort. He slid his phone across the desk. Picture. A lie frozen in pixels. She stared. That's not. I didn't. Enough, he snapped. You think your face will save you? Tears filled her eyes. Please listen to me. I have listened enough, he said. You're suspended pending investigation. Her mouth opened, but no words came. Outside the office, people avoided her eyes. One woman whispered loudly, so it's true. Another said, I knew she was pretending to be nice. She walked out slowly, dignity cracking with every step. By evening, the story had grown teeth. It followed her online, into her phone, into her chest. Back under the streetlight, she wiped her face and called her mother. Hello? Her mother answered. Mama, she said softly. There was a pause. What have you done? Her mother asked. Her heart sank. Manga. People are calling, her mother continued. They say terrible things. She swallowed hard. They're lying. Silence. Mama, please say something. Her mother sighed. You know how people talk when a woman is too beautiful. The line went dead. She sank onto the curb, rain mixing with tears. Even you, she whispered. A memory surfaced, uninvited. A younger version of herself, standing in a mirror. You are too pretty, her aunt had said. Men will hate you. Women will hate you more. She had laughed then. She wasn't laughing now. Her phone buzzed again. A message from her closest friend. I think we should take some space. She typed back with shaking fingers. Why? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. I don't want to be dragged into your mess. She dropped the phone. For a long time, she just sat there, listening to the rain, feeling something inside her harden. I was kind, she said aloud. I was quiet. I did everything right. She didn't know how long she walked before she ended up at the old bridge near the river. The city lights reflected on the water in broken patterns, and she wrapped her arms around herself, shivering. Not from cold, but from the weight of every look, every whisper, every accusation. A voice called out softly, startling her. Hey, are you okay? She looked up to see a young man leaning against the railing, umbrella tilted awkwardly against the rain. He had kind eyes, not judgmental like everyone else. I don't know, she said, voice barely audible. He nodded, as if he understood more than she did. Sometimes it feels like the whole world is against you, right? Her lips trembled. You have no idea. I might. I don't know the story, but I can see the pain. She laughed bitterly. You see the pain? You don't see the truth. They hate me. Because of this. She gestured vaguely at her face, her hair plastered to her cheeks. He frowned. Because you're beautiful? Yes, she snapped, then immediately lowered her voice. I don't want to be famous. I don't want attention. I just want to be left alone. He stayed silent for a moment, watching the water. Then he asked, gently, do you ever think about who you are underneath it all? She looked at him blankly. Underneath? Me. But everyone only sees this, she said, touching her face again. Maybe, he said, but maybe they're the ones with the problem. Not you. She stared at him, unsure whether to laugh or cry. The words felt foreign and strangely comforting. They talked for hours, though the rain never let up. She told him about the office, about Ada, about her supervisor, about the messages. Every story came with a tear, every tear with a laugh she hadn't realized she'd been holding back. Why are people like that? She asked finally, her voice hollow. Fear, jealousy, insecurity, he said simply. They hate what they can't have or what they can't control. Then what about me? She whispered. Am I too much? No, he said firmly. You're human. You're allowed to be seen. You're allowed to exist without being punished for it. The first light of morning crept over the horizon. She felt something she hadn't felt in months, hope, but she also felt anger. Anger at every whisper, every unfair look, every betrayal. She returned home, soaked and tired, but she refused to cry this time. Instead, she made a list. Names, incidents, things that had been done to her, things she couldn't ignore. The next day, she walked into the office, head high. People stared. Some whispered. Ada smirked. She ignored them. She didn't yell, didn't cry, didn't beg. She simply went straight to her supervisor's office. He looked up, surprised. I didn't expect you back so soon. I'm here, she said calmly, because I will not be treated like this, and I will not hide who I am. He opened his mouth, but she continued, showing him evidence she had collected. Messages, notes, recordings. I didn't do anything wrong, she said steadily, and I will not let lies define me. He stared at the files. Silence. Then a reluctant nod. We'll look into this. Outside. She breathed the city air, sharper now, clearer. Ada passed by and muttered, Good luck. She didn't respond. She didn't need to. Over the following weeks, the story shifted. People who had gossiped now whispered apologies or ignored her. The online attacks faded as the truth emerged. She had done nothing wrong. She had always been kind, always honest. And she realized something. It wasn't just about beauty. It was about standing her ground. It was about refusing to let fear and envy define her life. She walked through the office one day and a junior employee whispered, You're amazing. She smiled, genuinely this time. Thank you. And it felt like breathing fresh air after a storm. If you're watching this and have ever felt judged or hated for something you cannot change, remember, the world will talk. But how you respond, that is what matters. Take a moment to hit like, comment below with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for stories that remind you that strength can come from the hardest moments. Even as life settled into a strange new rhythm, she knew she had changed. Not because people had stopped whispering, but because she had stopped letting their whispers hurt her. Her mother called one evening. I saw what happened. I understand now. Tears welled up, but she laughed softly. It's okay, Mama. I'm okay. For the first time in a long while, she truly meant it. But not everyone was ready to forgive themselves. Some continued to avoid her. Some still whispered in corners, afraid of the truth she had come to embrace. And she realized that was fine. She didn't need their validation anymore. She was finally free, not from beauty, not from attention, but from the chains of other people's envy. Her phone buzzed with messages from new people who admired her courage. They weren't interested in her looks, just in her strength. And she smiled. For the first time in months, the world seemed like a place where she could finally breathe, where she could exist without apology. The days that followed were quiet, yet charged with a new energy. She no longer felt the need to explain herself to anyone. Walking into the office, she noticed eyes still turning, whispers still floating, but it no longer reached her. She had discovered something more powerful than fear or envy: self-respect. One afternoon, Ada approached her. Her expression was guarded, but her voice softer than before. I didn't know." She looked at her calmly. "You didn't know what?" Ada hesitated. "About all of it. The lies, the rumors. I thought you were just—" She trailed off, shaking her head. "Jealous?" she offered quietly. Ada flinched but didn't deny it. "Maybe."
I'm sorry.
She nodded, letting the words settle. "Thank you." She didn't need more than that. Forgiveness was a choice, not a demand. Later that week, she was sitting in the cafeteria, sipping her coffee alone, when someone sat across from her. "Mind if I join you?" She glanced up. It was the junior employee who had whispered, "You're amazing," weeks ago. She nodded. "I wanted to say, I think what you did was brave. Standing up for yourself like that." She smiled. "It wasn't easy. I can see that, but you handled it with strength." He paused. "Most people would have crumbled." Her throat tightened. "Thank you. That means a lot." The young man smiled and left, leaving her alone, yet not lonely. For the first time, she realized that kindness and courage drew people toward her more than beauty ever had. Her phone buzzed again. This time, notifications were different. New messages from strangers sharing their stories, saying how her strength inspired them. One read, "I've been bullied for years because I'm different. Your story makes me feel like I can survive it." Tears welled in her eyes. She had never imagined that standing firm, simply being herself, could touch so many lives. She thought about her mother and called her back. "Mama," she said softly. "I'm okay, really." Her mother's voice cracked. "I am proud of you. You've always been special. And now, you're unstoppable." They laughed together, a sound full of relief, of understanding, of love. Days turned into weeks, and the office slowly returned to normal. But she noticed something remarkable. People who had once resented her began to approach her differently. Some cautiously, some curiously, but no one openly hostile. And she realized that while she couldn't change how others felt, she could change how she carried herself. She started mentoring a group of young women in the office, sharing lessons about confidence, resilience, and self-worth. "It's not about looks," she said one afternoon. "It's about knowing who you are and not letting anyone define you." One of the men's whispered, "You make it look easy." She smiled, shaking her head. "It's never easy, but it's worth it." Outside work, she began reconnecting with old friends she had distanced herself from. Cautious at first, but slowly trusting again. She realized that people often fear speaking the truth to someone they envy, just as she had feared confronting Ada or others. But honesty, courage, and patience, those could rebuild bridges. Evenings became moments of reflection. Sometimes she stood by the river where the rain had first brought her clarity, thinking about how far she had come. She remembered the voice that had asked her about who she was beneath it all and smiled. She had found that answer. A resilient, compassionate woman who refused to let hatred define her. Her phone buzzed one last time that night. A new message notification. "Keep sharing your story. You're helping me more than you know." She typed back, "Thank you. It means the world." Leaning back, she whispered to herself, "I was hated for my beauty, but they never understood the power of who I truly am." And that was the truth. Beauty had brought envy and pain, yes, but it had also revealed her strength, her courage, and the depth of her heart. She had survived, not by hiding, but by embracing every part of herself. For anyone watching this story, if you've ever felt judged, envied, or misunderstood, remember this. Your worth is never dictated by what others think. Stand firm. Speak your truth. Let your strength shine, and others will see it too. Before you go, make sure to hit that like button if this story inspired you. Leave a comment sharing your thoughts or experiences, and subscribe for more stories that remind us of the resilience and courage we all carry within. She closed her eyes and smiled, feeling the quiet power of her own presence. The world could whisper, envy, and judge, but she had found her peace, her voice, and her freedom, and that, she realized, was worth more than all the beauty in the world. The night air was still. The city hummed softly in the distance, and she walked on, no longer afraid, no longer hiding, fully alive in the light of her own truth, because she knew now, in a way no one could take away. Being hated for beauty was just the beginning. The real story was the woman she had become.